everyone, and welcome to the beautiful Hampton Springs, where we are on the Oasis pool, and it is yet another of my crash courses, Andy May's crash courses. This time it's going to be on, right folks, do you know when it's been blooming freezing and it's still freezing, but when the sun's out, and it's out today, when that sun comes out it gets right warm and it makes the fish want to feed. So we're going to be going over pellet fishing, but trying to target the bigger fish. There's a lot of big old crafty F1s in here, a lot of carp in here, but there's also millions and millions of like silverfish as well. Now what happens when you're coming out of that winter slumber into really early spring? Yeah, maggots as an all-round bait is fantastic, but them little tiny SHIT fish can be an absolute pain in the backside when you're trying to target the bigger fish as well. So what I want to go through is how to, I've said it now, we're going to catch some blooming small fish, aren't we? But it's how to target the bigger fish by using micros and expanders. I'm not going to feed a lot of bait. It's more to do with colourings as well. I'm going to have a couple of different hook bait choices or hook bait colours as well, obviously using the same expander. But rather than using maggot, where we're going to get marred with little tiny fish, pellets, we'll hopefully pick out some bigger fish. So just got one rig does all, and it's going to be another in one hopefully. And because it's Oasis pool, I might even break out into some Oasis songs. Can't promise, well, yeah, I can promise that. I'm definitely going to break out into some Oasis songs. So first things first, we'll go through the rig, and then we're going to go through the bait, and just have a quick talk about where I plumbed up and what I'm looking for as well. So like features and what have you. So first things first, rig wise. Now because it is still flipping freezing, folks, yeah, I had to scrape my van this morning. Where are we now? We are right at the back end of February, but that sun is proper getting up. I'm proper roasting. You can see I've just got my hoodie on today. That's how warm I am already with the sun. So things are starting to happen. Fish is starting to wake up. The weights from this weekend, flipping heck, there was a couple of £100 on some of the venues, like northwest venues near me. So 100% of them fish are starting to wake up. But I'm still not going strong with the elastics. One thing is for sure, if you start to use a real heavy elastic, certainly in open water like we are now, you're going to pull out of a few fish. I'd use heavy elastics if Jake were getting up later on. If I was fishing towards like an island like we've got to our left, which is, you know, full of snags, I'd fish a heavy elastic there, but not in open water. There's some decent skimmers in here, folks. I don't want to be bumping them. Yeah, it's these little tiny fish that we want to try and avoid, but, you know, there's a lot of decent skimmers as well in. So I've gone for a solid 8s elastic, just what I've been using all winter through, basically. Main line, as always, folks, 0.14 Aki Power main line. Coming down the rig, if you see quite a bit of line between pole tip and float there, we've got probably 18, 20 inches, something like that. The water, actually, it's not very clear. I was here a couple of weeks ago and it's a lot clearer than this. Now, coloured water like that is another indicator that the fish are on the feed. Obviously, next thing on the agenda, pretty much, obviously, they've been in that winter slumber. They need to start eating because of spawning is next on the agenda. You know, we're a few, obviously, months off that, but they need to start eating after, you know, not eating all winter. Now, coming onto the float itself, F1 maggot. I absolutely adore these floats. F1 maggot floats and a 410. More importantly, carbon stem floats, folks. Because of what we'll be doing, how we'll be laying the rig in, the fish are still watching that bait through the water. Yeah, we're going to try sitting there, but I'm not going to sit for too long. Probably 4 or 5 minutes at the absolute most before I lift that rig out, lay it in again. We'll go through me pots that I'm going to use as well, my little toss pots with sprinkle pots on, so I can tap a bit of bait in, turn it back over, put a bit more bait in, that kind of thing, so the fish are seeing that bait fall through the water. So 410's carbon stem float, so important that, folks. And then coming down, it's not overly deep here. We've got, what's that? I'm going to say 4 foot, that's all we've got, just over 4 foot. And I've plumbed up to sort of about there. It's really, really silty, proper old established lakes these, really silty. I plumbed up to sort of like the bottom of the body. Now, shotting wise, I've gone for stots. Reason I've gone for stots, you know how much I love to use shots because I don't want to move them. I might want to move these stots just to create a slower fall, or I might want to move them down towards the hook if it's really, really good, just to get that bait down quicker. Now these are all 11 stots, so we're starting from, where's my hook? My hook's down here, so probably a good, getting on for 2 foot away. we've gone for my favoured tapered shotting pattern. So we've got 11 stots there, and then just gradually, you got them, Jakey? Of course he's on them, folks. Gradually just getting a little bit further away. So come down this pole a little bit more. Yeah, until you get to my last one, which is there. And we've got a 4-inch hook length to a size 16 SFLB hook and 0.10 hook length. So not overgunned or anything like that. Pretty much my standard, like what I've been using in the winter. But hook wise, we've gone a little bit bigger and like heavier on the hook. And hopefully, you know, we'll be able to target them F1s. That's what we're going for. But as I said, there's some decent skimmers in. But it's more a case of, with the baits that we're using, that we're going to come on to next, is avoiding them little tiny, you know, little babby fish that you catch on maggots. So next thing is we've got bait. Let me talk you through the bait. So it's fishery on pellets here at Hampton Springs. I've got some that I've already done there, just some 2mm micros. Now what I've done to them, I'm going to show you what I've done to them. I put a bit of bait booster on, a bit of Banoffee bait booster. I absolutely adore this stuff, and I'm thinking something like a little bit sweet just grabs a fish's attention. Again, obviously fishing, folks, it's all about personal preference, it's all about confidence. If you've got confidence in something, it's going to be up in your head and it's going to make you fish better. Certainly this time of year, coming out of winter, I just love to use like these sweet baits. So what I'll do with this, I will put a little bit of that in. Let me put it in this tub here. So a little tiny bit. So we've got an empty tub there. Put a tiny bit of the bait booster in, like that. And then what we're going to do is get some water. This is just normal lake water. Put that in there. Give that a good mix around. Now we don't need, obviously, loads of baits today, folks. I've already got some prepared there, but I want to show you how I prepare mine. In fact, I'm going to put some more bait booster in because I adore it. Go nuts with that stuff, folks. I absolutely adore it. Just give that a good mix around, and then get our pellets. Obviously, I'll show you what I do with the expanders in a bit. Get our pellets, and we're just going to put them in a pint tub. I'm going to sort of like half fill a pint tub. Yeah, that's all we need. That'll give you. In fact, I'm not going to. Yeah, half fill it. That'll do. Bit more. You know what I'm like, folks. Bit more. So we've got half filled raw 2mm pellets there, and then we get our water and just pour them, just so the pellets are peeking out. Yeah, I mean, you can't really get them there, can you, Jakey? You can't really see what I mean, but obviously we've done loads of videos on these, folks. All I'll do with them, I'm going to put them on my side tray. That's why I did them as soon as I got here. And you want them basically just so the pellets are peeking out through the water, and just let them absorb all that water. And then I'm going to say, obviously, the colder the water, the bit longer it takes to get the pellets right. They've taken about 50 minutes, maybe 40, 50 minutes. And you can see they're still a little bit damp, but they're absolutely perfect. And oh my days, folks, they smell absolutely amazing. But confidence, I've got complete confidence in that, and it does make a difference for me. So just leave them ready to go. Don't drain the water off like you would with the method. Just let that water absorb into all them pellets. So next thing I need to show you is my expanders. No wriggly baits in sight whatsoever, folks, today. Now, all I've done with my expanders, we're using the Pro expanders, the Sonubaits 4mm Pro expanders. All I did last night, you can see there, I've just got a few in the corner of a bag, just sort of put a little bit of water on them, squeeze them really tight, just so them pellets in the knot. Again, we've done this loads of times. We've shown you how we prepare these expanders loads and loads before, but I'm going to mix mine up a little bit. Now, what I mean by that is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the expanders out. I'm going to put them all into one tub. Yeah, like so. So empty tub, put all the expanders in, like so. Give them a little bit of a mix just to separate them, but look at the state of them, folks. If you do them that way, you know, sometimes in water, certainly for summer it don't bother me, but for this time of year, the pellets will actually stay a little bit compact and a little bit smaller if you prepare them in that way that shows you in the bag. If you just put them in water, which is obviously the beauty of these Pro expanders, you can just put them straight in the water, they will expand out a little bit and go a little bit bigger. But, you know, for this time of year, getting a little bit smaller bait is perfect. So just shake them out a little bit, get them separated. And what I'm going to do is sort of half them and put some in. I do apologise, folks, there's loads of maize in this tub. Jakey didn't clean that out for me properly. Yeah, just get a few separate ones in the tub. So I've got my normal ones there, which are going to go straight on the hook. Now with these ones, what I like to do is mix it up a little bit. I'm convinced, you know, I say it all the time when I'm fishing with maggots, how I am a massive believer in like white maggots for like clear water or bright days. Just stands out over anything. I'm convinced it makes a difference. It's no different for me with me expander hook baits. Obviously, the colour of them as they are brilliant, but I like to mix it up a little bit as well. You all know how good corn is. You know, bright, visible yellow corn and corn skins. Certainly this time of year grabs the fish's attention. Well, it's exactly the same with pellets. So what I'm going to do, I've got my favourite pineapple and coconut haze, or pina colada, if you like pina colada. Just for you, that, Jakey. I have to get the song in. Now, all I'm going to do with that is just give these a good dousing. Can you get them in there, Jakey? Can you see them? Just going to give them a good dousing of the old, I need a pina colada then, but it's pineapple and coconut. Now, them, in that liquid there, you can see how they're sticking, but look at the state of them. So I'm going to get one of them out. Now, the longer you leave them, obviously, the better they're going to penetrate the pellet. Yeah, so you can see them there. Obviously, the one that I've just coloured, and then the normal expander. You can see the difference and the colour difference. Now, the beauty of doing them on the bank, so you can prepare these the night before, but the reason why I like to do them on the bank is when you put that liquid on, you get a little bit of that haze, that liquid coming off as the pellets falling through the water. And again, you know, it's confidence. That little bit of a scent trail will make a massive difference, I believe. You know, it's all up there, but I'm convinced things like that will make a big difference. So we are ready to go. I've talked through everything. I've got my haze, I've got my two different expanders, I've got my pellets that I've done there that you can see later on. I've got them already pre-done there. I think we're ready to go. I'm just going to do it in a wanna, Jakey. I'm going to do it in a wanna, folks. So what I'm going to do is use a sprinkle pot lid. Now, the beauty of a sprinkle pot lid is I can go out, put a little bit of bait in, because I don't want to put loads of bait in. I'm just going to tap out probably 10 to 15 micros or something like that. And then what I'll do is lift my rig out, lay it in and hold a tight line and watch that rig through the water. Leave that sort of 3, 4, 5 minutes, twist my pole around, tap a little bit more in, lift your rig out and try it like that, because the fish, they're actively searching for bait now and they're wanting that bait falling through the water. Now, if I was just to put like a dump pot in and wait, it might be a little bit longer for a bite, but that might be the right thing. It might be, you know, patient fishing, that kind of thing. But the way these fish have been this last week, they've 100% have been coming to bait. So that's how we're going to start off. So that goes on the tip of the pole, probably about 1 inch back, I like to put it. And then we'll come down here, we'll get one of our expanders. We'll start off on a normal expander. So hooking the expander, obviously the grain's running that way, long ways down the pellet. So what I like to do is pull the pellet round to the side, hook right through the middle, and just mould it onto the hook. Yeah, absolutely perfect. I hope it goes straight away, folks. Right, so we'll just get a few micros. Literally all we're getting is like that. What's there? Probably 40 micros, something like that. Shake them into the pot, into the lid, like so. That's it. I've just hooked my blooming pole sock, which is clever, isn't it? At least we've got one first chuck, folks. Right, there we go. So bait's in, we are good to go. So we'll ship out. I do apologise for turning me back to you, folks, but I wouldn't be able to see me float if I looked that way all the time, would I? You know what I mean? So there we go. So take your time when you're shipping out. Obviously, you've got the safety of having that lid on. Now, as always, I've got my little babby extension behind me. That's my marker, and I'm marked on my middle leg, and I'm in like the dark water of a tree opposite. So first thing I'm going to do, stretch out a little bit further, tap. See some of the micros coming out there. Tap them in, tap, 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 tap. That'll do. Twist that pole back, flick that round, and then I'm going to hold my pole in a nice tight line. Just so if any fish are like watching that bait down through the water, they're going to pick up. I'll pick up on that. Now, I did put a tiny number 13 shot on before, which might just sink that. I think it might have just sunk that float a little bit too much. Typical, isn't it? When I plumbed up before and went out with my rig just to set my shot in, it was absolutely flat calm. But what happens when you get a little bit of wind? I'm taking it all off. I'm going to put a few more pellets in. I'm going to come back and take that blooming 13 off, folks, because that's sinking that float was bloody perfect before. Typical, isn't it? Well, this is why we'd like to do these things in a wanna. Right, I'll just put some pellets in. I'm going to put some more in that pot. So grab another 30 or 40, put them in that pot, but I'm not going to feed this time, simply because them last ones that I fed just before I come back, they should be getting down towards the bottom now. So, you see I'm laying that rig in, I'm laying it against the wind, so everything's nice and tight. So I'll bring that float up, a little bit of surface tension on that float, and then hold a tight line. Then what you'll see me do is bring my pole back to the left hand side of my float. Now what that does, it stops my float going through with the wind. Still blooming low, that I might need some grease on that, you know. It's still blooming low, that, folks. Let me just try it again. It could have been a bite, that. I don't think so, though. But we need some grease on it. Yeah, so you see what I'm doing. I'm holding the tight line, and then as soon as that's settled, I'll bring my pole back round just to stop that float going through. Yes. The difference of blooming wind, honestly. Right. Let's get this bloody... Take that off there. You watch, it'll go flat calm in a minute and it'll be like a blooming lighthouse. I'll just try taking that shot off first before I put any grease on. Still got some pellets in there. Yep, we still got some pellets in. Right. Here we go. So, lay that out. Over the marker. And a nice tight line. So you can see how slow that rig's falling through the water. There we go, that's better. And obviously, oh, blooming heck. I wasn't expecting that, folks. Hey, there could have been bites before then. Now, I don't think this is an F1, but it'll probably be a decent skimmer. Now, this is why I've not gone straight out and used like a slightly heavier elastic. 8's absolutely perfect still for this time of year. Look at there, you can see how clear it is still. But them kind of fish, again, I'm not saying you won't catch them on, obviously, maggots. Of course you're going to catch them on maggots. But, you know, fishing with pellets, a little bit of a more standout bait, bit more selective. Obviously, for this time of year, you are going to get some slightly better fish. Loving that. Go on, the poppadoms. Now, obviously, with slimy poppadoms, folks, the most important thing is to get all that slime off. And then go on, put another bait on, and straight back in business. That is amazing, that. Right, let's put some more pellets in. It's good that they come to that bait nice and quick. That's it. So again, important that you don't overfill that pot. Just put a few in, sort of like 30 or 40 if you like. And then just keep repeating the process. And eventually, hopefully we'll catch an F1. But it's fish like that, them are weight builders, them. So the first thing you want to do is just tap out a few micros. Not loads. Twist your pot back round. Lay that rig out. I'm just lifting my float ever so slightly, just because there's a bit of surface tension on that float. I'm just lifting it just so I can get that float to sink nice and natural. There you go, perfect. So in fact that it's starting to back up ever so slightly now. Oh, I do apologise, Jake, I didn't turn my phone off. Sorry. Oh, it's blooming Richard. He can do one, can't he? Sorry, folks. That was CEO, that was. How dare he? Right, there we go. So I've just had to bring my pole back round to the left just to stop the float going through. Now, obviously, we had that one pretty quick, to be fair. Within, I'd say, 20 seconds of my hook bait hitting the bottom. Now, that tells you the fish could be watching that bait down. So that was a little dink then. So what can work particularly well is lifting and dropping, but certainly for F1s, that lifting the whole rig out and laying it in, that does work particularly well. But also, you know how much I love to lift and drop, certainly for skimmers anyway. But I do love to lift and drop. There's a little baby skimmer. Let me tap them pellets out. There we go. So I'll just tap them pellets out. If you saw then, there's out that fish. Now what that'll do is, obviously, this next time I go in, I don't have to feed. I mean, I'll load my pot up, of course I will, but I won't feed because that bait that I've just tapped in, that'll be down towards the bottom. What's that? Oh, it's a nice roach. Ugh. Trying to do me in my own bank then. Did you see him? Just shows how blooming clear it is. Look at how he's hooked as well. Top lip. Now, obviously, not the intended species at the minute, but you can't turn your nose up to like proper silvers like that. And obviously on waters like this, where they are so used to seeing pellets, if I was to fish magwise, let's try one of these hazy ones. I'm going to put a hazy one on now. If I was to fish magwise, we'd just be mired with like the little tiny small fish. Yeah, eventually you'd get the bigger silvers, but I wouldn't have had a start certainly like that with the slightly bigger silvers. So, see if that makes a difference. We've got a coloured expander on there, a hazy expander. Now, remember what happened last time? So when I hooked that fish, I tipped a little bit of bait in, which will be on the bottom now. So I'm not going to feed and keep my pot upright. Just bring my pole into position. That's it. And just hold a tight line. That's the beauty of laying your rig in against the wind, opposite the wind. It just keeps everything nice and tight. Very tight. I said that you've seen the bite. The bites have been blooming horrendous, haven't they? Well, it's what you get. It's what happens, certainly this time of year. But it's so good that they're starting to feel what's a better fish. Let's tap them pellets. That's a better fish. That was on the hazy expander as well. Go on the hazy expander, haze. How good was that? Now I fed again then because the fish slightly swam out of my swim. If it had just gone back through my swim, obviously I'd have pulled that fish out of place first. Oh, how good is this? How good is this? Go on. He's not ready, folks. Thought he was ready then. Give him a pull and everything. He didn't like a blooming pull then. Go on, the ones. Oh, it's so good. Look at the state of that. They're still like blooming ice cubes. He's 8 out of 10. They're still like blooming ice cubes, but oh, look at that, folks. Absolutely stunning little one. Absolutely beautiful. Now, obviously, you've seen it all. It's all in like real time. I've not fast forwarded anything. It's just phenomenal, isn't it? Right, on with another hazy expander. Now, if that's not doesn't, you know, show you the difference between obviously the normal and then colouring your baits, then I don't know what does. But it's just, I think, because as I said before, I like to put the haze on as I get here, not do it the night before. You get that seepage, like obviously that little bit of haze coming off the expander. You've seen it there. Proof's in the pudding. Let's go and see if it happens again. Right, one thing I will say is because we are using stots, and I've talked through my reasons for using stots, I might want to slow that fall down, might want to speed it up. Make sure you're checking them because they will move a little bit on your line. They're not, I don't suppose they move this much as what they would like in the summertime when the fish are a bit more aggressive, certainly in the landing net, but they still have, you know, potential to move. So just keep an eye on them. So we'll put a bit more bait in. I'm not had to feed twice yet. But again, obviously, tap that bait in as I hook that, so I'm not going to feed again. I'm going to leave my pole upright. And it's just working out as well on the day, you know, getting into rhythm, working out what the fish want. Laying that rigging, that's the one. Laying that rigging nice, just so we're letting everything settle nice and natural. It's just held up a little bit in the surface tension now. I've not had to lift and drop, you know, experiment or anything like that. Lift and drop my rig, which I do like doing. Oh my days. So that's come up in the water. So I'll put a bit more bait in. A little poppadom. This is amazing, folks, isn't it? So we're into that time of year now. Where are we? Just had my birthday, so 25th of February on now. It's one of them, folks. I say it every single year. It doesn't matter. Look at that, the little one. That's mad, isn't it? 2 ones on them 2 hazy ones. I think we're done. Look at that. Ended on a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, it's one of them, obviously, for this time of year. I honestly don't think, I say it every single year, certainly when I'm coaching, I don't think it matters how cold it gets now. The fish, it's the daylight hours. When we get sort of like the same sort of like amount of daylight hours, it doesn't matter. It was freezing last night, folks. Them fish are like ice cubes. I had to scrape the van this morning for the ice. I'm convinced once you get to sort of like this time of year and the fish start waking up and they want to feed, it's just phenomenal. You can just carry on catching. Get out there. Certainly give it a go. Obviously, yeah, I'm not saying, don't take maggots. Maggots you'd have for like a 2 and 2 or 2+3 line or something like that, which you'd use for later on. But if I was to go in with maggots on that swim where I've just fished, I'd have been catching little babby fish and all this, that and the other. Eventually I'd have got into the bigger fish, but you've seen we've had 4 fish, 4 decent fish as well. And you just carry on catching. Well, I'm going to carry on catching anyway, but it's just this time of year when the fish get going, they've had the winter slumber and they want to start eating some bait, just get out and give it a go. But make sure you feel your way into it. Don't just go in with loads of bait like I normally do. You've seen what we've done, a little bit of sprinkling, grab the fish's attention, so colouring your baits up, try that. And I didn't really get a chance to, lift and drop. You know how much I love to lift and drop. And if you're not getting them bites, lift your whole rig out, lay it in again. You saw that first F1, we caught that by doing that, lifting the whole rig out, laying it in, holding a tight line. It's all about fishing really light still. You don't want to be fishing too heavy because the fish are ultimately watching your bait because it's so clear. But oh, folks, as always, if you've liked what you've seen, please, please, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification button. And obviously that's going to tell you when we're putting these fantastic videos out for you. I'm sure Jakey's about to kick me off my box, but in the meantime, I'm going to catch me some more fish and I'll see you next time. Hey!